It's been a few hours since MWF's Kasaysayan ended. I was there to watch it. I was almost late to the show. Made it just to 3 minutes before the first match. I am glad I was able to watch this. Manila Wrestling Federation's first live event of 2024 was a banger. Kasaysayan earned its name in the context of making history. It's the biggest wrestling event the Philippines has had since PWR's homecoming in 2019. Kasaysayan featured a large chunk of the roster of Japan's Kyushu Pro Wrestling, including Yoshihiro Tajiri, who is no stranger to Philippine wrestling. For the wrestlers of MWF, this was their chance to prove themselves against foreign competitors, and the fans here were stoked for the opportunity to see some puro resu here in the Philippines. As a fan, I thought Kasaysayan delivered in spades. It is a sign that MWF and Philippine wrestling in general are moving in the right direction. I just wish it was at a bigger venue. I also wish that this opens the doors for more Filipino wrestlers to compete overseas. One unexpected bonus I had from Kasaysayan was meeting Carl Hella at the show. He is the general manager of Singapore Pro Wrestling and was there as a fan. It says a lot about the quality of Kasaysayan's card that those from outside the country would consider it destination viewing, that they had to come watch it. It was mentioned that MWF President Veronica Shannon was stepping down from her role for personal reasons. I hope she knows Kasaysayan made an excellent swan song for her run as MWF President. It was a great show. I was entertained. Warning. Spoilers ahead on what happened at Kasaysayan. If you don't want to know, just stop right now. You have been warned. So, what happened? The wrestlers from Japan showed their quality. In the interpromotional matches, the side of the Japanese wrestler won decisively. Didn't matter if it was standard wrestling rules or MWF specific Manila rules. The Pururesu guys had an edge over the homeboys. The lone exception was Turn Zero Kill's WW Tag title defense versus Hitamaru Sasaki and Naoki Sakurajima. The defending tag champs won by count out. The Filipinos were underdogs going into their matches, and it shouldn't be surprising. The industry in Japan is on another level far above where Philippine wrestling is right now. In Japan, an individual can work as a professional wrestler full-time and thus devote much more time and resources staying in peak physical condition. This is why even a former MWF champion such as Fabio Makisig wants to train in Japan. Pro wrestlers in the Philippines can only learn so much competing in the local circuit. MWF champion Jake De Leon has had a huge chip on his shoulder going into Kasaysayan. He is known locally for being passionate about Japanese wrestling. And he worked his ass off to get to his current run as MWF champion. But instead of being selected as a representative to square off against one of the Kyushu Pro Wrestling's talents, De Leon had to defend his title against Rex Lawin, a guy who Jake believes he's overtaken as a competitor. And in the end, JDL ended the night still as MWF champion. He even took some of his frustrations out on Tajiri. So maybe that's the champ's way of ensuring he gets a Pururesu talent as an opponent as soon as possible. Still, I think even De Leon would have a devil of a time taking on one of the competitors from Kyushu Pro. Even an elder statesman such as Tajiri is a very tough hombre. Kasaysayan also marks the first time MWF has had an all-women's tag match with Chelsea Marie and Joya versus Super P and Patricia Legaya. These four women continue to write their entries in the record books, following up on their historic Fatal 4-Way match at last year's MWF Noche Buena. In the end, Chelsea Marie and Joya's superior physical talents and martial skills won them the match. And to close this out, Kasaysayan lives up to his name for probably having the first ever match that that's ever going to be available only from behind the MWF Gank paywall. I'll give you a hint on which match that is.